Today we're going to talk about alternatives to the full court press. So as you guys know, there's lots of information about the full court press, and some leagues can do it, some leagues can't. I wanted to approach this a little bit differently. And the coaches that I talk to on a regular basis, they have 1 or 2 practices a week. I'm sure yeah, Jason and Ian, if you're in rec leagues, you're probably somewhere in that time frame, 60 to 90 minutes on average, right? And they don't have a lot of time. They're just working on the basics, but yet other coaches, are doing a press and they feel like you have to do a press. So we're going to talk about some alternatives that you can do without taking up a lot of time. Okay. All right. So the question you have to ask is, do you want to develop skilled basketball players or just win youth games? This score was actually a score in a California school, 161-2, right?
Oh, God.
Yeah, right. They full court press the entire first half. They were up 101-0 in the first half. So what I think at the youth level, and I'll explain what I mean by the youth. That's grades 3rd through 8th. When should you do a press, which is a question. So while I go through this, just jot down in the chat, when do you guys think that you should introduce a full court press? I think, spend 0 time teaching a full court press if you have limited time, but focus on the fundamentals. What are the fundamentals, right? Defense, defensive slides, staying in front of your player, all of those other things, because it'll be so much easier. You can do just about anything from there if you wanted to do a full court press. But just, teach the fundamentals in the half court and then apply them to the full court. All right. So at what age, guys, do you think, just spout off an answer, you think you should teach the full court press? This is just really what your opinion is. Ian, what do you think?
It depends on what level of competition. I would say a little bit, and just based on my experience. But I would want to do it before they were. I wouldn't want to do it before they were 14, 15 years old. I wouldn't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point. Anybody else have an opinion? Jason, you have an opinion on that?
We deal with the press quite a bit, and I'm not in favor of it at the younger ages, but probably around 12. So you get around that 6th grade mark, getting ready for junior high. I think it's probably important to start teaching it.
Yeah, I agree. I think around that 6th, 7th grade, 12, 13 years old, that's when you should, you can start introducing it. They have a little bit more skills. They can handle the ball a little bit better. They can pass a little bit better, a little bit stronger. But anything younger than that, I don't know. Dude, if I had my magic wand, we'd do no zone and no press. But I'm just one guy in one area of the country, and we got to deal with it, though, because some coaches, they live on this. Their ego is driven by 162 or 161-2. So we got to be able to, kind of fight back, so to speak. Next week, though, we're going to talk about how to beat any press. So if you come back for that one, we'll dive into some press breakers. But today we're going to talk about how to implement a press and alternatives to a full court press. I'm really speaking to that time-strapped coach who might have a really mixed team. You got maybe 1 or 2 good players, but a lot of the players are, just working on their fundamentals. So what do you do? What can you teach? All right. Well, my big thing is get them 70% of the way there, meaning, again, teach them the fundamentals, teach them, what it means to play good defense, stay between the man and the basket, low man wins, moving your feet, watching the player in front of your waist, keeping your shoulders, at below their chest level, etc. So if you teach them those basic ones, they'll figure out, right? They know they're trying to stop a person, right? All right. So a couple things. So we're going to go through 7 alternatives. So we're going to talk about the jam press, the pinch and tip. I call it the jump press. On and off, one-on-one, force left, and the no press. All right, let's dive in. And feel free, stop me, ask questions. I'll follow up with some materials as well. Or if you have questions, please follow up with me on any of these concepts. I'm building out some of these things as well. They'll be on the website, and I'll share them on my YouTube channel, and I'll send you guys all the links afterwards. But the jam press, it's pretty simple. I mean, the jam press is just doubling the rebounder, right? Again, you don't have to teach a full court press, but you can teach a concept, which is soon as if you're on offense, you miss a shot, double the rebounder. Okay. Two closest people to the rebounder, right? Double that person. And again, with the jam press, what you're trying to do is keep the rebounder from turning and throwing that outlet pass. Here, again, it's just good defense. You're going to use that in the half court as well. And no vision, no comfort, no fouls. And what does that means, right? Keep your hands to the heavens, make sure the refs can see your hands. You're not trying to get a steal here. You're trying to force a bad pass that the rebounder is trying to, or get a 5-second call. So, obviously if you're reaching for the ball, they're more likely to foul. You're just slowing the progress down, slowing the advancement of the ball. So that's the jam press. Kind of looks like this. Everybody's back, shot went up. They see, 1, 2, 4, and 3 are an offense running down the court the other way because they saw that their player had the ball. Well, in this case, X4 and X5 are sealing and doubling the ball handler, right? Kind of catches some teams off guard that way. You don't have to do it all the time, do it some of the time. Could be a call. We do this in the high school level as well. And it works. I've done it at the youth level. 5th grade girls this year I had over the summer. All right, pinch and tip. It's one of my favorites. And I'll show you a diagram of this in a second, but again, the pinch and tip. So again, the ball handler is running in transition. The defender is the pincher. That's the first attacker who gets to the ball, and they're there to slow the ball handler down. Okay, you want to do that anyway, right? The second person is the attacker or the tipper. They tip the ball from behind, pushing it to the pincher. Again, this is a concept you want to teach, right? Stop the ball, right? It's the most important thing on the court. But adding that attacker, that tipper, that's just one additional thing that's easy to teach. And we run a drill every day in practice where we have three people across, one person in the middle with the ball, and they're going to chase the ball. So, again, always teach stopping the ball in transition, regardless, right? If that's your player or not. And that kind of looks like this. So pretty simple. X2 is, in this case, the pincher forcing them to a side, slowing them down, waiting for X4 to catch up and come from behind to tip the ball as one is in transition to offense. So that's the pinch and tip. Right. The jump press. So this catches a lot of teams off guard. Right from the get-go, if you have a jump ball or any jump ball situation, immediate two closest people double the receiver of the ball. Again, here you're trying to force a bad pass. Something to preach is no vision, no comfort, no fouls. And then, I always think there's a psychological benefit of having the first possession, right? Plus you gain one more possession in that game if you get the ball back. But it sets the tone for your defense. Again, you don't have to teach a full court press. You're just teaching one concept here, double, soon as the ball is tipped. And if obviously you're on defense now because your player didn't get it, double that player. And again, most coaches, right, your team gets the ball, right, you're in retreat on your offensive side. So here you can sneak up on a player and double them pretty easily. And again, it's the two closest people. And then you're just basically you're teaching kind of a zone concept like a full court press, but not even. I would just, try it without even any extra coverage, so to speak, just to have two people go attack the ball, force a bad pass, and have your other defenders, waiting by to see if they can get a steal. So that's the jump press, is just right off the jump. And then this is maybe more of a common language, but I call it the on and off. And it's really, and again, think about a made basket. Do you guard the inbounder or not? So on is you're guarding the inbounder, off is you're doubling the receiver. And imagine you can switch that on and off and change it and have different calls for it. We kind of practice we're looking for that pass to come in and then peel off right away on that pass, and maybe trying to get a quick steal in that way. But anyways, again, just an alternative to a full court press is kind of more of a one-on-one man press. Again, like I said, you're going to be on the ball coming in or off on doubling the receiver. So just another alternative. Any questions so far on any of those? I know I've been talking kind of fast here, but any thoughts?
No, I'm following along.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yep. And then one-on-one. So pretty simple concept, picking the ball handle up in the 3/4 court, half court, wherever, but picking them up early, applying pressure. Again, just imagine you're teaching your kids man-to-man defense. They have to learn how to play in the half court defense. Here, just extending the court, following the ball handler, putting a bit of pressure on them, making that ball handler a little bit nervous. Again, slow the offense down is the goal, or speed up the dribbler, right, to create a turnover. So depending on how you what you want to teach your players. Pretty simple to implement, and can be pretty effective if you have one person that is a great defender. A lot of times too, what that does, it forces the ball out of the better ball handler's hands because they see an open person. Right now, imagine what you're doing here is you're in transition, you're slightly guarding the receiver of the ball, the inbounder has nobody on them, right? You let the ball come in, and then you start your one-on-one. Now the inbounder coming in is going to be wide open. A lot of times they're not necessarily the best ball handler, right? So you force it into that ball handler's hand. That's one alternative, or one thing to think about as well, to get it out of the primary ball handler's hand and start it with a secondary ball handler who maybe is not so comfortable starting the offense. Yeah, question?
No.
Oh, okay. And the last one is this is one of my new favorites, which is force left. Did a lot of homework over the summer looking at different alternatives. We play a really good team that's in our league, and again, I'm a high school coach. I coach girls varsity, and we started this in our youth program as well this summer, and it's really forcing left. 80% of basketball players are right-handed. Most offenses start on the right-hand side. We needed to throw something a little bit different out at this particular team, so we're going to be forcing left, influencing left, depending. But again, in the full court, I think I have a picture here. Do I? Yeah, I think I have one coming up. But again, the goal pretty simple: force the ball handler to the non-dominant hand. Right, start the offense on the left. Most youth offenses, again, you're going to have a right-handed point guard. Even if the ball handler is a left-handed point guard, doesn't matter. Speed them up a bit. We guard them the same if they're left or right, doesn't matter. But we are forcing left. We want to create bad shots in turnovers by speeding that ball handler up. Causes a bit of chaos. We do want that left-handed dribble, or the left-hander to, who's a right-hander, but going left. We want to speed them up, cause a lot of chaos on offense. They're throwing up bad shots from an area that they're not comfortable with. Again, just a easy, something you can implement pretty quickly out of practice. Don't have to spend a lot of time, and it causes the same amount of chaos that you would do spending with a full court press. Great. All of these solutions are great if you really have a kind of mixed talented team, and maybe one or two players that can play pretty good defense and maybe have a little bit higher basketball IQ. And if they can understand half court defense, they'll understand it in the full court as well. And that's what I love about doing some of these things. And we'll go through some strategies and how to implement them in a little bit. And the no press. So I call it that because it's just like, okay, if you want to do a full court press, if you're teaching man or zone, just move it up the entire court. Don't teach them anything new other than what your man-to-man or zone principles are. So if you have man-to-man principles, then, between you and the ball with some help side, same thing applies in the full court. And it's just an easy way. And again, what are you trying to achieve with the full court press? Are you trying to slow the offense down? Are you trying for a steal? What's really truly, what is the goal that you're, because you're going to apply different types of pressure depending on what you're trying to do. And again, if you teach them a half court defense already, then there isn't much more to teach. You just have to work on it in a full court situation. So you're saving yourself a lot of practice time by just moving up your man offense or your zone offense. All right. So let's talk about some strategies that you can do. And a lot of these, well, actually, I'll pause too. So any questions about any one of them, anything you guys want me to dive into a little bit more? We'll go back here, talk about so we got the jam press, the pinch and tip, the jump press, on and off, full court one-on-one, force left, and the no press press. Anybody have any questions or anything you want to dive into?
On the pinch and tip,
Yeah.
you had talked about a drill that you like to run. Could you go back over that again?
Yeah, you know what I'll do? I think let me pull up. Give me 2 seconds here. I'm going to pull up. Sure. Actually, I'll just draw it up here real quick. Let's see. Yeah, I love this one. So basically what you have is, we'll do it. I do it with 3 players. Okay. So we got your 3. You can see my screen, right?
No, it's still showing the slide.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. 1 second.
There it is.
Okay. All right. So this is, I call it the pinch and tip. You have 3 players. Basically what happens here is they are going around, they're just going around in a circle to start. Okay. So they're literally walking around in a circle, just like this. Okay. So pretty simple. And let me take this off here. We're going to go.
What's that software you're using?
This is, I'm beta testing. It's called the Hoops Geek. There is a free version right now, but I'm helping them out beta testing. This thing is game changer. I'll send you a link to it. It's awesome. It's so simple. It's perfect for youth, just drawing up a few plays.
Yeah, that looks great.
Yeah.
I've been looking for something like that for a while.
Yeah, me too. And I'm glad I stumbled upon this one. So yeah, so okay, so they're here going around in a circle, and then there's me. Let's see, I'm 3. So I'm here. Okay. So they're going around in a circle, and I will pass to any one of them. Let's say I'm passing to 5. Okay. And then what happens is 5. Oops. 5, now 5 has the ball. Okay, oops. As I say, it's easy to use. I'm messing it up. 5 has the ball. what they do is they take off down the court. Okay. And I'm out of the picture now. So let's say 5 is taking off down the court to try to go score. Okay. So 1's the closest. 1 becomes a defender. So they're the tipper. Or pincher, sorry, pincher. Okay. 4 then is catching up to come behind and be the tipper. Okay. So they're winning their race, bolt cutting up, trying to come from behind and pinch or tip, sorry. And that goes all the way up full court. So it's basically 1 versus 2 going down, and then 2 versus 1. So the offense and defense switch coming back the other way. And then it's a 1-on-2 going full court. We do this daily. Anywhere when we first started 5 minutes, now we do maybe 2 to 3 minutes full court sprints like this. And you'd be surprised how quickly they pick that up. And even if the tipper doesn't get there, the focus is slowing down the ball, right? Even if they can just slow the ball down, it's a win. Does that make sense?
Oh, it does. I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Makes a lot of sense. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And then what we have, of course, sitting out of bounds, right, is 3 more players, waiting to come in down here, right? And depending on your level, I mean, I've done this 2nd grade on up. They may not be getting the tipper position, but that's okay. Doesn't matter. We have a lot of fun in this in the camp, and we score it and time it, and they love obviously the competitive nature of this simple drill. But yeah, that's the pinch and tip. All right, let's go back. Here we go. So, all right. So then what the fun part is you can start doing combination of these things. So you can do an on and off with a pinch and tip. You can do a jam press with plus a pinch and tip. You can do an on and off and then switch coming in and out of that. And that's what I mean, where all of a sudden you look like you're doing on ball or guarding the inbounder. And then as soon as the pass is thrown in, you then you're doubling the ball handler. Whoops. Come on. Wrong way. You can do a force left plus a pinch and tip. I'm going to show you guys the jam press plus a force left plus a pinch tip. So all of these can be layered and stacked throughout the season, and you can pick your combinations of things, and pretty soon you got your full court press with 1 or 2 of your better players doing the press instead of the whole team who might not, maybe their basketball IQ just isn't quite where it needs to be yet. All right, so this is the jam press plus the force left plus the pinch and tip. Okay, so this is what, oh my goodness, I keep on hitting the wrong button. Okay, so up here in the left hand corner, number 1, you have your jam press, which I described, right? So X4 and X5 are doubling the rebounder. Okay, X1 is obviously trying to deny that pass going in, and everybody else is going down in transition, right? Because quote unquote the ball was secured. All right, so number 2, the pass gets made, so somehow the 1 gets open, 5 throws over the top. X1, what X1 does then is starts to force left. Okay, so catches up, forces left, and then you come down to diagram number 3. X4 leaves, and now they become the tipper. So X4 leaves the jam press and chases 1 for a tip. So that's combining 3 of those single types of small presses, mini presses into one kind of one press, if you will. Okay, so it's just combining all of those into one. Again, it works really well. Stress that maybe you're trying to get the ball out of the primary ball handler's hand. Two, you might have a couple skilled players, fast players, right, that can do some of this chasing down in the half court, catch a few teams off guard because you're not pressing, and then all of a sudden you go to the jam press, right, and get a couple steals that way, or you go to the force left, steer that ball handler into the left hand to start or left side to start their offense from the left side, again, where they're least effective. Does that make sense, guys? Kind of that layered effect of how you can, kind of building blocks and put those together.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yes.
Yeah,
And then, in general, it is, before you press, you still got to teach the basics. We talked about that, right? At the start, you still, pressuring half, what is you got to teach them half court defense, right? So you start there. Bolt cutting. So bolt cutting is this idea of, your first three steps being big and powerful. There's actually stats at the older levels. If you get 96 bolt cuts in a game, you win like something ridiculous, like 90% of your games. It's ridiculous. So bolt cutting, again, is just for some, I'm sure we've said it. I've said it for years. Run faster, run harder. Well, what does that mean? Right. But for some reason, the idea and the concept of a bolt, like a bolt of lightning, bolt cutting, resonates with the kids. They know that's fast, right? And I got to be fast. So that seems to be working with, at least with my teams at the youth level. And then winning your race, you're guarding someone and you're running in transition, right? You want to beat that person down the court in transition. So you got to win your race. We always talk about that. Just, be faster than the person next to you. Well, you're bolt cutting, right? So, good concept to kind of say is win your race. And then not fouling, right? You got to teach them how not to foul in the half court as well, right? When applying pressure. So you got to do it in the full court as well. So all of these concepts, you're going to teach in the half court. And they have to know some of these things before you can even apply it to the full court. So that is really your foundation. And then what do you do if you get beat, right? You just retreat and go down, and, don't make a situation worse. Just bolt cut down, just something easy for them to remember. If you get beat, retreat. So, all right. Any questions? I know that was pretty quick, but that's kind of just one of my favorite subjects, just because we don't full court press all the time. We sneak a few of these things in. We're always looking for a pinch and tip. That is something, and we'll do a pinch and tip, all the way up to, the offensive side of the court. It doesn't have to be in the back court. We get some pretty deep sometimes, especially when we force left. They're just not expecting someone coming up from behind, and tipping the ball. And especially that's not their dominant hand. So we can get a few steals that way as well. And at the end of the day, that's really what you're trying to do, right? Trying to get the ball back, trying to apply some pressure. And those things are hard to scout, right? I mean, there's books written on how to, break a 1-2-2 and a 2-2-1 and every press you can think of, right? And teams work on that. But some of these, hard to scout, hustle, right? And hard work, and take your best players and teach them, and take your best defensive players. So open for questions, thoughts, even if it's not about this stuff. If you have a question about a 1-2-2 or a 2-2-1 or a diamond or anything that you guys are running. What are you guys running right now, mainly on your press?
Fourth graders aren't allowed to press right now until the last 2 minutes of the game for my team.
Thank goodness.
I wish they had it. We have a 25-point spread. 20-point spread you can't press in our league.
Yeah.
But we run into it a lot. It used to be at one point, we have tiers, so 1, 2, 3, 4 plus, all the way down. It used to be that they didn't allow presses on tier 3s or below. Now they allow it at a certain age group, anyways. So we're
Mm,
dealing with it a
mhm.
lot, and it's something I pop up a lot. I'm not a big fan of it because you teach these really you can teach them really bad habits if all you do is pressing. And by you're talking about fouling, at this level, the ones I coach at, the lower tier ones, they don't care if they foul you because you know your foul shots are at the
Yeah,
same
that's right.
percentage.
It's true
And
too,
it
right?
stops our fast break. I had
Yeah.
one team that we played that fouled us 26 times.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
yeah, and
Oh jeez.
all they did was press, and yeah, and they got ahead by quite a bit, and they would just foul us to stop us from driving. So it was it was an interesting strategy, but those girls, when they play next year or the next year, or if any of them move up, they're in for a really rude awakening, and I don't want that to be my team, right? So
Yeah.
I try to think as to how the girls will play the following year, or if some more advanced coach wants to pick them up. I'd like to teach my kids skills that are transferable, stackable for future higher
Yep.
levels of play, right? If they decide to hang around. So, um, yeah.
Well,
So
and I think you nailed that, Ian, if they decide to hang around, right? Because it's like, oh, this game is too hard, right? I keep on losing the ball, and how fun is it to lose the ball all the time, right? Because I'm getting it stolen, and it's
it's
just
not much fun to watch. Yeah, and especially
yeah,
at certain lower tiers, where they're not like we got out of 5 games played, my girls, and they're on the younger side. I
yeah,
don't we have a lot of teams, and I inherited the team that's the most developmental. We scored 2 3-pointers in 5 games, so we don't do a lot of 3-pointers at this level. So, and we don't do a lot of baseline kickouts that are going to hit. We try them.
right, yeah,
So, guarding past the 3-point line is entirely optional. You're not going to pay a terrible price for that. So there's two types of defense, really. Pretend zone, which is not zone,
yeah,
and then this is a hard shell, and then full court press. So a lot of the coaches in this league, the kids, they want to win games, and the parents want them to win games. They do a lot of pressing. I'm lucky the community I'm with, they're not so keen on that, so we're good. But uh, as I mentioned, I have to learn a press to teach the kids how to run a press so I can practice against a press. If that makes
yeah.
sense.
That's true.
Otherwise,
Yeah,
the only time
yep.
I get a press break practice is during a live game, and by
Mhm.
that time the damage is really done. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, no doubt. And and are you seeing a lot of what type of presses? What are they? Or they?
they're not really terribly well executed. I had interested like a 2-1-2, but again, it was sort of the foul press. It was more along the lines of, okay, if we don't get the steal, just pressure hard, 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 and hope the refs don't call, right?
Yeah,
So if I had my last year's team, which was the same age level, but they were sort of more second years and first years, they had no trouble with those presses. In fact, we used to score so much it would flip around. We would get such a huge lead because their press was so easy to break with back cuts. It was you were begging the other coach, stop pressing so we can play a little half court against you and do some experience, right?
right.
I had that, but they just knew one thing. They didn't know any other types of defense. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for ideas that are. I want the press to be something that they understand the concepts that they can implement with some level of success, but not become a liability.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm not all that comfortable. That's why I started looking for other options beside the diamond and one or the 2-2-1. I like the 2-2-1 mostly because it's sort of a 3/4 court, and I hope it transitions back into a. Um, we have to go back. We can't play zone after they cross half court. So I feel like we have enough players back to kind of transition quickly back into help.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, yeah. So not to dominate the conversation, but that's sort of what I'm experiencing up here, anyways.
Yeah, no, thanks for sharing that. That's important. Yeah. Anybody else want to jump in with what they've been experiencing?
Is the force left that you're running, is that kind of the same as the I've heard of the funnel down defense, but I'm not too sure what that's about.
Oh, yeah. So the funnel down funnels you into the short corners, right? And force left technically does the same, but only on the left side. You're trying to get the team to make shots from the short corner on the left side. The funnel
Okay.
down doesn't care if you're left or right. They're just trying to get you into the short corner to really shrink the floor.
Okay.
Yeah. I like force left. I mean, I don't have anything against funnel down. I think it's a great it's, you know, based on the same concept of just, you know, shrinking the court. And the thing I like about those, if you think about a defense in general, and this is where the light bulb moment came for me in watching my kids play, is, you know, if you think about a defense's job is to keep you from scoring, right? And I think that's still too big of a task for young players, even through high school. I mean, obviously they get it a little bit more, but with a very precise, like a funnel down or a force left, you got one thing to do: get that player to move left, right? And it really does take care of itself from there. You know, you have the other one, kind of like no middle defense. That's another one that has a very precise and very specific task that you're trying to do. It's just like you're not giving up middle, right? Pack line a little bit, somewhat of that as well. You know, versus you're just kind of your man-to-man type of defenses. But I like them. I like the defenses. It seems to correlate with the kids. It's easier to teach. You just, you know, because they can figure it out on their own. You know, we're teaching like the full force left defense. And you know, when they have a question, I'm like, well, where are we trying to make them go? They're like, oh yeah, okay, well, that's, so I need to angle my body that way, right? And they just kind of figure it out. And then if they can figure it out without us preaching to them, that's when you have a huge breakthrough.
Got it.
Yeah, I do sort of the funnel down in terms of concepts for what I've tried to teach. Was just I don't want them bringing up the middle, so it's an easier down the lane drive. And I've noticed the kids like when because they're, like you said, right-handed. The kids naturally like to, the ones that are going to dribble at the ball, not pass it up. The ones that are going to dribble up the ball are going to dribble towards the right corner if you let them. If you guide them enough, and they're not like a hard cutting driver, if you deny that lane, they're going to end up in the right corner eventually.
Oh
and
yeah,
I find
they go
that
deep.
it's an awful place to run an offense.
Yeah.
Now, if you can get them to go left quarter, that's even better, because they can't. Nobody, you know, left-handed passing is no fun for people. Like the pivoting out, kicking out.
No.
It's not natural. So I think one of the things I trade my kids, the very first drill I do with my developmental players is I have one of my first drills I do is dribble out of the corner. It's literally dribble in the corner and dribble the hell out. I spend a few practices a few times a week just until I get that. Like, I don't want to run my offense from the corner, but that's also where I teach them to try to put the players, you know, let the dribblers go to the corner. I'll have to see I have to think about the left side, see if there's a way I can make that, you know, get the players to kind of think in that way. So
yeah. And you know, I forgot to put something in here too. I'm just going to bring it back up. With the force left, let me bring this up again. Okay. With the force left, you know, in this particular case, the ball comes in to one takes off. Now, X1, you don't want to be on top of them, right? And what you want to do is do what you call a hip turn. You don't want to slide, right? You want to run shoulder to shoulder with one and a couple feet away. Obviously, so, you know, you don't want them to turn back. You don't want to put a lot of pressure on them either, so they, you know, cut across. But you do want to turn, and if they do try to cut across, right, cut them off to force them back to the left. So by keeping that distance between one and X1, you know, if they run, you run. If they're walking, you walk. You know, you can stunt and swipe at them a little bit to maybe, you know, get them to move up quicker. But what that does is, you know, you can literally funnel them down right into, you know, the short corner right there if you do it right, especially at the youth level. Much easier. You don't want them to reverse the ball to 4 coming in either, right? And if you do, you know, again, 1 is probably their primary ball handler. If it does get into 4, then, you know, you try to push him or her left. And there's, you know, like I said, that's where you get into that stacking, depending on what you want to do, and different combinations. That makes sense in the force left. Just you keep your distance a little bit, so they stay on that left side.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, good. All right. Back. Anything else, gentlemen? I think I covered all of the different examples here that I have. But yeah, I think the easiest one, like for example, we're doing the force left defense, and so our press is kind of set up that way as well. We're keeping the left-hand side pass open. So we just moved up our half court defense into the full court. And then we just have to teach it once, and obviously a bit bigger area to cover, but all the same principles, they're all the same, right? They're all the same. So you don't have to teach something new every time, especially again, limited practice time. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much. Appreciate your time. Good luck. Thank you guys for coaching. Keep up the good work. My goal is to influence 1 million kids in 10 years, and I can't do that without you guys and helping you. And I want to make sure that you guys make it impossible for you guys to fail. So please do reach out if you have any questions or follow-on questions or clarifications. Happy to help.
All right. Thanks,
Thanks, Bill.
Coach.
All right.
Appreciate
Thank you,
it.
guys. All right. Take care. Bye-bye.